Namaste.
Namaste.
The God in me greets the God in you. Last night, as Martha and I were folding the programs for the temple, I looked at it because we had to figure out which page should be 1, 2, 3. And I noticed and I saw that the rose was on the program, that we were going to sing the rose on Sunday morning. And I knew then the direction of what I was going to say. I didn't know before that moment, but I knew it would come, and it came when I saw that extraordinary song, that extraordinary burst of truth on today's program. We've been real busy getting our books ready. We're revising our website. I have 5 books coming out. 3 of them have been published. 2 of those have been edited. So Martha has done a yeoman's work on designing them. This is a cover of one, Light in a Dark Place. This is a cover of another, The Way to Heaven. And I would like to read some excerpts from these as they relate to the purpose of today's message. Light in a Dark Place was a series of writings I did when I was in prison from 1986 to 92. And I had no idea I was going to write a book, but I did write. And this is one of the things that I wrote during that time. The birds moved as one, then hesitating dove like a family of acrobats at home with each other in the tent of their universe towards the telephone wires ahead. And there they lit with the grace immanent in nature and in themselves for me to watch, with the awe of one condemned to never fly, except in dreams, and maybe also in thoughts of release. It occurred to me that if I were a bird, I, not knowing the harmony of which I were a part, would crash instead into others and then become lost, going north as they went south, or vice versa. But you do know what I mean here, don't you? Who listen to these words like birds on wing, searching for the pole stars of your being in a universe so vast as to make you homesick for a home you can't remember, and now can only hope might exist somewhere, somewhere, somewhere. But isn't it true that if I were a bird, I would, like them, be also free? A few years ago, when we were in Tucson, a very dear friend of mine called me up and he said he wanted to cooperate on a book. He had this idea. Martha and I were on our way to Costco. I was talking to him, and by the time I exited Costco, I knew what the books would look like. I knew that they would be in this type of format, where they would be longer rather than high, and I knew also that they would be in a format where on each page there would be only one sentence, if that. I didn't know what those books would say, but within 2 weeks, 2 of them were done. Last year I read a few excerpts from the first book, Is God Confused? Today, I would like to read some from The Way to Heaven, the second book. The Way to Heaven. The way to heaven is to go back the way you came. To go forward, you must retrace your steps and undo everything that keeps you from experiencing God, love, abundance, health, peace, joy. Your path to heaven is known only to you, because only you know the way you came. In the beginning, yes, in the beginning, God had an idea that included you and everyone else. God's idea grew. God's idea evolved. It is still growing. It is still evolving, and so are you. It is now time in the evolution of God's idea to take the next step in God's plan to have heaven on earth. To do your part to have heaven on earth, you must retrace your steps back to heaven. Your path from heaven is paved with judgments. To return to heaven, you must find your judgments and undo them. On this journey, you will have companions. These companions surround you now. They will help you find your judgments by causing you to make judgments until you undo them. These companions look like friends and foe, strangers and family. But when you reach heaven, you will know they are brothers and sisters. In the beginning, we made judgments because we did not understand. We made judgments because we were afraid. We made judgments because we were angry. We made judgments because we felt abandoned. We made judgments because we felt trapped. We made judgments about friends and foes, about strangers and family. We made judgments about ourselves and God. We made judgments not knowing judgments would stop our worlds from evolving into God's plan for heaven on earth. And so, this is where we find ourselves today, in the world that our judgments created. A world that reflects not the love and the oneness that we are created in, but the fear, rage, loss, and pain and suffering that has taken its place. But I want to tell you, that world is not real. It does exist, but that world was created by us because we were given the gift by the Creator itself. And in our falling away, in our forgetting of who we are, we thought we were lost. We thought we were separate. We thought we were alone, and so believed ourselves afraid. And in that believing, we created a world that reflects that fear. When the one became two, it split. For the world to come from oneness in the manifestation, it had to polarize. And so it did. Into the yin and yang, into the light and the dark, into what we call the positive and negative poles of reality, into the male and female. And in healing that, we must heal all that has happened between now and when we made that fateful step outside the love of God. Now the truth is, we never stepped outside the love of God. We only thought we did. And because of our free will and the power that we've been given, the movie changed instantaneously. It can change back. It will change back. We are in the process of changing it. But of all the things that have plagued us when we stepped outside that apparent circle of God's love, the thing I believe that has been one of the most painful is relationships. For this is where we, as the one, now two, experience personally the conflict between the yin and the yang, the positive and the negative, what we call the male and female. I used to joke that the pain of this kind of relationship, the pain of this separation, is what caused gay people to throw in the towel. But it is deeper than that. And it is time for us to retrace our steps back to heaven and to heal not only ourselves, but the relationships that we have here. But to do so, we must heal inside ourselves first. Our world is only an outpicturing, personal and collective, of our present state. It is a mirror. That old country western song, Searching for Love in All the Wrong Places, is truly a metaphysical title. And it does not mean bars and the internet and high school reunions. It means searching for love in each other. For until we find the love that's in ourselves, until we find the love that's in our heart, until we find the love that's who we are, we will not be happy on this planet. I wrote a few things about that. That fear of that state, I think, was put forth in one of my early verses. I hope love is real and not what it seems to be, a trap in which the lonely falter, a treasure box without a key. And we all know what searching for love is like. It's sort of like a personal version of bumper cars, and worse. And about that, what it means is those relationships are working, even though there's pain involved. Those relationships that appear not to be working are doing exactly what they're supposed to do. They are supposed to bring to you the feelings inside you that need healing. The feelings inside you that need acceptance. The feelings of loss and abandonment and terror and rage that happened at the very moment of creation when the one became two. Those feelings have never been healed. Those feelings have never been accepted. Those feelings have never been allowed. And that's why we have the problems on earth the way we do. That's why our relationships appear to be the way they appear to be. It is now time to heal that. It is now time to heal ourselves. It is now time to heal creation. If your heart is hurt and aching, if your soul is in despair, don't push your feelings ever deeper. Give them air. Give them air. If the terror is pushing upwards and the fear is crying for release, then accept what you are feeling. Give your feelings some relief. If you want to calm the troubled waters, let them rage, let them rage. If you want to calm the troubled waters, let them rage. You can pretend to be ignorant. You can say it just ain't so. You can say that Jesus loves you. You can say that you're in control. You can lie to God and others. You can lie to friends and kin. But lying cannot change what you're feeling deep within. You can hide in alcohol, in pleasure, or a job, but hiding's just denial. And it's you yourself you rob. Because if you stopped and would listen to your feelings deep inside, you'd find the love you're seeking, the love you've tried to hide. So if your heart is hurt and aching, if your soul is in despair, don't push your feelings ever deeper. Give them air. Give them air. If you want to calm the troubled waters, let them rage, let them rage. If you want to calm the troubled waters, let them rage. We are the Creator, parts of the Creator. We are the children of the Creator, created in the very image of our Father and Mother God. And this is why we are in such trouble, apparently. Because we were given the power to create, and we did not have the experience. We did not have the wherewithal to understand what was about to happen. And in truth, we pushed it. One of the esoteric books I read said in the beginning, before the moment of creation, the feminine principle, the yin, was reticent, was holding back. It did not feel ready. But the male principle, the yang, wanted to move, wanted to push, wanted to go forward. And I think you all know what happened. And when it happened, it was a cataclysmic experience. For we were not ready. But if we were, we had lessons to learn. And those lessons are with us now. That's what relationships are for. Relationships are those in your very being that take you to places that you need to accept, that you need to heal, that you need to express, that you need to allow. The love that you are seeking from others is the love that those feelings have been seeking from you. The acceptance that you've been seeking from the world is the acceptance that those feelings in you have been seeking from you. It is time we did so. We cannot go on any further without doing what we have come to do. I wrote this little piece. I'm going to take a few verses from it about relationships here. Junkies of attraction, the needle rush of love, the anguish of withdrawal. What were you thinking of? Feelings of deep loneliness, the need to find a home, searching empty-handed, no meat and only bone. Your heart is hurt and aching, you can't go on too far, and you wish you'd never started to wish upon that star that once seemed oh so promising, the object of your heart, roses perhaps forever, a couple that would never part. Junkies of attraction, the needle rush of love, the anguish of withdrawal. What were you thinking of? But you will never find another to be what you're to be, an anchor of compassion on this stormy, stormy sea. For only you can give yourself what you are looking for, the acceptance that you're seeking, that and nothing more. For until you love the whole of you, your pain and fear and rage, you will just be seeking others to put inside your cage. That song, The Rose, when I heard it, it went straight to the core of myself. And friends of mine called me up one day when I was living in San Francisco. And they said Amanda McBroom was singing that night in San Francisco, and friends of theirs were managing her, and would I like to come down and listen to her? And I knew Amanda McBroom had written that song, and so I wanted to hear what the rest of her songs were like. And I went down, and I listened, and that song stood out. It was unlike any other song she had written. And so last night, as I was preparing to do this morning's message, I went up and Googled Amanda McBroom and The Rose. And I found the story. She said she was driving down the freeway, and a song by a singer of hers came on, and it said, you are the razor, my soul is the scar. And her mind went, oh yes, that's what I feel. And another part of her said, that's not true at all. And all of a sudden, these words started pouring in. And she kept saying them over and over and over again so she wouldn't remember them. She rushed in, she went home, and she wrote it down. And she read them to her husband. And he said, that song is going to go somewhere. She didn't necessarily believe it. She didn't consider herself a songwriter. And then, a few years later, when The Rose was being produced, a friend of hers said, why don't you send that song you have in for the movie? She didn't see herself as a songwriter. They said, do it anyway. She sent it. The music director gave it to the producers. They hated it. The Rose was the story of the life of Janis Joplin. They said it wasn't rock and roll enough. The Rose was a hymn. It didn't have the push, the edge that they were looking for. So the producer sent it to Bette Midler, who was playing Janis Joplin. And they loved it. And that's how it got to here today. Janis Joplin was that rose. Janis Joplin was as innocent as each of us are here. That song about Janis was not just about her and her life of pain. That song is about us and our life of pain and the redemption that awaits each and every one of us. Some say love, it is a river that drowns the tender reed. Some say love, it is a razor that leaves your soul to bleed. Some say love, it is a hunger, an endless aching need. I say love, it is a flower, and you, its only seed. It's the heart afraid of breaking that never learns to dance. It's the dream afraid of waking that never takes the chance. It's the one who won't be taken, who cannot seem to give, and the soul afraid of dying that never learns to live. When the night has been too lonely and the road has been too long, and you think that love is only for the lucky and the strong, just remember in the winter far beneath the bitter snow lies the seed that with the sun's love in the spring becomes the rose. I'd like to end this talk today with something that Betty wanted to read as soon as she read this book 3 years ago. And when we were on our TV program and time ran out, and I didn't read it then, and I haven't read it on that program since, nor have I read it here. But I think that's because it was waiting for this moment. It was another one of the things that came to me when I was in prison. It's called respect. I saw two people walking by that looked like they were in love, and then I had to look again at what I'd been thinking of. For the two turned out to be men holding hands on a public street. My judgments were instant and many, my friends, and my thoughts would not retreat. Then I wondered why we couldn't let others be as they are, just what it was in humanity that won't let us go that far. For all of us are creatures of God, no matter what we say, and the life in you is a life in me, for that is nature's way. And as we judge, we limit ourselves by the judgments that we hold, and as far as judging others go, you know we've all been told. And someday we'll answer to the God of us all about the lines we drew between ourselves and the others that God loved and created too. The rivers run deeper than you and I know, so judgment should not be kept about the nature of life and love, for we owe all others respect. As Amanda McBroom wrote about the rose, each of us is the seed that within the sun's love and in the springtime becomes the flower. Balance the yin and the yang within you. Balance the male and female inside of you, and let that rose blossom. You are the love you're seeking. Namaste.